Hey everybody, welcome back to Diving In Deep. I'm Sara Evans, and today we have Levi Hummon, who is the son of Marcus Hummon, who has been on the podcast, and he and I wrote Born to Fly together, also many other songs. So it was really fun to have a conversation with him because Marcus and I have been writing for almost all of Levi's life, and he is his own artist. He has his own music. He writes his own songs. You might know him from his song Paying For It that he sang with Walker Hayes. And we just had a really fun and very interesting conversation about trying to make it in the music industry. So please welcome to the podcast, Levi Hummon. Y'all, if you're a fan of the show, and if you listen to the show or you watch the show, please be sure and do all the things like download the episode, share it, leave a comment, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Those things really help the show. So we really appreciate you. If I could buy it, I would put in a pool. Like, it has those old, tile bathrooms, like from the 50s, whatever. So they own now every house but one. And we've been begging them to change their minds, sell us the house,
Expand that way.
Yeah. And I don't even know how I started this story or why I'm talking about my house. Why am I talking about my house?
I don't know.
Oh,
but it sounds
the water.
amazing.
Water
yes,
bottles.
Water.
So it's got this tiny space for the refrigerator. We cannot find a nice, stainless steel refrigerator to fit.
Is it just super wonky, or is it?
The refrigerator is actually nice. It's just white and it's ugly, and Audrey's embarrassed of it. And I can't do any cooking, Instagrams in my kitchen because the kitchen's kind of dorky. But
sure you could.
If that were the case, if I could redo my kitchen, I would get one of those filtered water things and fill that bottle that you're talking about.
Or you could get a fountain that has high C in it, or beer or wine.
How do I do? Right.
A wine fountain.
Exactly. Yeah. So where am I going to get? Well, so I went on Amazon today and I changed to these glass water bottles that Avery buys.
Okay.
And I got a subscription to that. So there's going to be 3 boxes that show up every month or whatever. What
do you think that having plastic in your brain does to you?
Well, they say that it's going to everything advances Alzheimer's, which that runs in my family. My father passed away from that. However, it's caused by leaky gut, which I do not have. I have a perfect gut, digestive system.
Is that everything from large intestine to small?
Yeah. It's if you
Or is that liver? Because my liver is not.
Well, that's from drinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that have anything to do with each other?
Well, no. You will not be connected to Alzheimer's because of your liver, but you will die of cirrhosis of the liver.
Perfect.
So either way, you're screwed.
Let's hope not. Let's hope the plastic can cure me of that.
I've been seeing
each other.
Right, exactly. The plastic may offset your liver cirrhosis somehow.
Let's hope.
But yeah, how do we get the plastic out? It's every day we find out something new. We were just talking about how I don't use sunscreen anymore because the spray sunscreen causes skin cancer.
Yeah. So
and I think it's all just let's make a product that causes sickness, so then we can team up with the people who heal the sickness, and we'll all go into business together. We'll kill all the humans, and we'll make a ton of money.
Be rich and die.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you so much. My fiance, she is in skincare. Mm-hmm. She swears just pure zinc is the way to go.
Okay.
So everything she does for skincare stuff, because she was in dermatology for forever, and now she's a skin care consultant at Ulta.
Okay.
And she's zinc is where it's at. And
Got it.
So if you need help, if you ever need any recommendations, Kirsten is her name. She's the best.
I want her info.
Yeah.
Because so far I'm doing really well with my skin. I have good genetics in that area.
Yes, you do.
Thank you. But anything, will help. I got a horrible facial yesterday. It's a hydro facial where they do that suction thing. And I don't know if you know anything about it, but the girl left me and she goes, I'm just going to let you air dry. And I'm laying there and it's just running down my face, drip drying. No hot towel, no nothing. And I was just this is horrible.
Right. I had a massage the other day where the lady had to do a bathroom break for about 25 minutes in the middle of my massage. So
She had diarrhea.
So I think she had like legitimately stomach problems because she was like, ugh, the whole time. Like while she's massaging me, she's like, I needed to take a break. Like, and then she still charged me for the full massage. Like a 25-minute break.
Hold on. And so she did not make up the 25 minutes?
No. I was done at the same time, 25 minutes shorter, and she was probably like,
Levi,
doing her business in the room.
You should have not paid for that.
I tried. She said, I'm not going to charge you for like this. And then ended up, I go to the cash register, ching.
Right.
It's exactly the same amount.
I'm so sorry.
Okay. It doesn't, facial drip dry is probably equivalent of that.
We both had a bad experience. Yeah. Well, that whole diarrhea thing happened to me once when I was pregnant on stage. And I've never told this before. I probably told it to your dad because for some reason I tell your dad everything and I feel the same way about you. And I've known you since you were a little boy.
Yeah.
We're going to get into all that in a second. But
so diarrhea on stage.
Yeah, I told everybody that I was vomiting, but I was actually 6 months pregnant with Audrey. And Audrey has been just a little shit ever since. And
adds up.
Yeah, it adds up. And I kept running off stage and the band, we were doing perfect. Yeah. And the band was just like, did it, like forever.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just ran and I was like, I'm dying. I'm going to die.
Yeah.
But I went out and finished the show. Yeah. Have you ever had diarrhea on stage?
I've had more stomach issues. I'm lactose intolerant, so I've had a lot of things. But for the most part, I've never had like an incident on stage. I did get really sick in London. Mm-hmm. And I had this like fish and chips right before I went on stage, and I ended up, having to get rid of it right before I went on stage. And it was opening for Christian Bush. It was like a big show in London. Yeah. And I like threw up. Then I performed, crushed it. And then right after I got off stage, threw up again. And I think something about adrenaline for me, like everything siphoned out. Like my body, I don't feel anything.
Right.
But yeah.
You are Marcus Hummon's son.
I am.
And Marcus Hummon.
Diarrhea?
Right. Speaking of vomiting.
Yes, sorry. I am Marcus Hummon's son.
Marcus Hummon's son. Marcus Hummon and I have such a long history. Your dad and I. And we wrote Born to Fly together when Avery was about 6 weeks old.
Wow.
And Avery was, sitting in the little, baby seat next to me while Marcus and Daryl and I were writing Born to Fly.
6 weeks?
He was about 6 or 8 weeks old. Yeah. I'm like that. I'm like, so competitive. And especially back then, because I was trying to become a superstar. Right. And so I was just like,
success.
Yeah.
Check, you did it.
Right. I had a number one record with No Place That Far, had a baby, checked that off the list. Right. And then Brenner Van Meter said, you really need to write with Marcus Hummon. He was having all the success with the Chicks, with Ready to Run and Cowboy Take Me Away. And I was so excited and honored to write with him. And also he wrote Only Love by Winona Judd. And God, all these other amazing songs.
He likes to remind me every day. He's like, hey, Levi, remember I wrote all these songs? And he just...
Right, yeah, yeah.
My dad, he's like not humble at all. So he's just
not, but
likes to brag on
he brags on the things he should brag about because he is brilliant.
Yeah.
He truly is. But I remember, years later after we wrote Born to Fly, because we ended up writing for every album, and I've recorded some of your dad's songs that I didn't co-write on. And I remember he came down to Birmingham, and it was probably somewhere around 2011. And he said, my son Levi is really doing it. He's really getting into music, and he's decided that's, because he was always talking about you and Moses and Kaney and telling me all about you, because we're both amazing parents and we're both obsessed with our children, and we both have 3. And, he had all boys and I have a boy and 2 girls. And so I was so excited. And I remember he played me some of your stuff back then, right when you were just starting to do
so sorry.
demos. No, I loved it.
Sorry.
I loved it. And I always felt like the special connection to you because you were my good friend's boy, and so I've always, every time I see you, I tell you that I've always really wanted that success for you. And I've been so proud of you and happy for you. And now look at you. So then some time went by and I didn't really, and then all of a sudden I start seeing you everywhere, I think you sort of really got on the TikTok. Like
grind.
you really went into that, which is different from your dad.
Right.
And your music is different from your dad's.
Yeah, always.
Your music is a lot
But
more...
also, we also collaborate a lot, but yes.
Right.
Yeah.
But my music is different from your dad's, but collaborating with him is great.
100%.
Because, you know, he brings something to the table that it's still my sound, it's still your sound, but what he gives you to your sound makes your sound even better.
Yeah.
And my sound even better.
Yes.
Because he's just so insane.
Right. And he's an artist himself. So like he brings his own artistry, and it's like one lesson that my dad always taught me going into a writer's room is like always have an idea. So I walk into every single writer's room based on kind of like what my dad taught me. And it's like verse, chorus, maybe we don't use it, but it's going to lead to something beautiful.
Yes. And he always does.
Yeah.
And so now, do you always go in with an idea?
I do. It might be like a hook or a title, but like every single time, I hear my dad's voice in my head, like, better have an idea.
Yes. Yeah. Well, there's nothing worse than showing up to a write and just being like, I got nothing.
Right.
Like I didn't, even if you tried to prepare, but you just didn't think of any, you couldn't bring anything. I
think also for me, like I always try to write with intention and with purpose. And for me, it's like, if I know I'm writing for myself, it's like, I don't want somebody to just be guessing. It's like, they might have some cool ideas, but it's not going to be for me. Then it's like a waste of the day.
Right.
So like, let's go write with intention. Let me show you what I have, what I need. And then like, let's go from there and kind of write something awesome. But
are you the musician like your dad is? Do you play guitar like that?
I do not.
Okay.
Like my claim to fame with my dad is Only Love was such a hard song, and like he had to go in the studio and record. And I think for some of your stuff too, he played guitar on the record.
Absolutely. And all the other weird instruments that I can't even name.
I can't play any of that. I don't know what to call them, actually.
I don't either. I can't name them. I don't know what they are.
Djembe?
Something like that. Yeah.
There's one.
It's
That's
on a lot of my songs on my albums. Like, like Feel It Coming On.
Yeah.
Born to Fly, obviously. What's the Desperately? We've written so many together. But anyway, go ahead. So, but you play guitar.
I play guitar. But like my claim to fame with my dad was I learned how to play Only Love because it's this like dad tuning thing. And I was like, when I learned how to play that was like, all right, Dad, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But that was just like as far as I could get with that. I think
and Only Love, for the fans, not to interrupt you, don't lose your thought. It's Wynonna Judd.
Gone, so it's perfect.
Only love brings us to the other shore.
Yeah.
Out of all the flags I've flown, one flies high and stands alone. Only love. And it's that cool finger picking.
It's yeah, it's like one of my favorite things. And I remember like all the stories behind that, and my dad saying like when he wrote that, it was like people were saying like, you're not country. And that had a huge effect on me, like, because I feel like since day one of me recording songs, it's always been like, you're not country. And I'm like, well, my dad wasn't country back in 1980, and now his songs are classics.
Absolutely.
But yeah, like going back to my dad performing, he's such a solid player. I think where I like took, and I was like, I'm never going to be as good a player as him, but I feel like I try to be a better vocalist, not better than him, but like vocals is like
you focus more on that.
Yeah, I think all my energy goes to like singing and trying to come up with new hooks that are just different.
Right.
But also like, it's funny. My dad's such a great instrumentalist. My brother's such a good painter. Like, I don't know if you've seen my middle brother's paintings.
Yes, they're amazing.
But like when you see somebody in your family do something so much better than you can ever do, it's like, I'm going to find my spot, my place in this family. It's like where like I feel like I kind of belong.
Right. And what about Kaney, your youngest brother?
So Kaney's middle.
Or Kaney's middle.
And then Moses is youngest.
Yeah.
Moses is now in digital design and graphics, and he helps my mom's company, Thistle Farms, out with the CCJ. They do a million things.
Okay.
But we're all creatives.
So how old is Moses now?
What's me? I'm 33. So Kaney's 4 years younger, which is 29. And then 4 years younger than Kaney is 25.
Okay.
Moses 25.
Moses is the same age as Avery.
Wow.
And because I do remember that we were both having children at the same time. Avery's my first. But
yeah, I met Avery at Urban Juicer once.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he worked there for a while.
And
God, he hated it.
He's like a great like performer artist, right?
He's great.
Yeah. I've seen him like on stage or like seen videos or something.
I mean, he's trying to be an artist, and it's, as you know, which I want to hear you talk about, it's the craziest industry to be in, I think, in the world. I mean, I agree. Understand it at all. I don't understand the formula. The artist is the last person to make money.
Right.
Especially this day and age, it has so much to do with your social media standing, rather than your talent. I mean, so I want you to talk about all that. So when Marcus told me about you, like, hey, Levi's really doing it. He's making music, writing songs, recording. That was probably about 10 or more years ago, right?
I think this is like, I'm been here my whole life, but this is my 10th year in this town.
Right.
Like, doing it as a musician.
Mm-hmm. So talk about your journey a little bit and what that's been like, because I know you've had some major success.
Yeah.
But it's, as this business is, you have big wins and then up. That's right. Highs and lows.
I'm riding that roller coaster. Grew up in town, obviously, but like I came back to Nashville to pursue music full time. And then right out of the gate, I got here, signed a publishing deal with Desmond Child, who wrote like Living on a Prayer, Dude Looks Like a Lady, all those big songs.
Oh my God.
And I had no songs recorded and ended up signing a record deal with Big Machine, like right out of the gate. And like...
And how did you get that record deal?
I honestly, like, I don't know how.
Right. God.
And also, it was a learning experience for me. Kind of, I knew that like when I got back to town, I was like, I want to get a publishing deal because I want to drop out of Belmont, because I was in school, but I was like, I'm not in school. Like,
right.
So ended up like getting a publishing deal to prove a point, which was to get out of school. Right. And I think I was
were you a music major at Belmont?
Songwriting major. So that was my degree.
And do you think being a songwriting major in Belmont helped you, or it just was an either or, a wash?
I had a great teacher, Dave. Can't remember his last name off the top of my head, but I'm sorry, Dave.
Sorry, Dave. Professor Dave.
Professor Dave. But it was like a great community, and people that were in my class, like of transfers and people coming to Belmont, was like Devin Dawson, who ended up writing like God's Country and all that stuff like that. So we had like a really cool group of people that, I think that led me to some really cool stuff. I don't know if my dad talked about it, but when I was at Belmont, every Thursday I would get to write with my dad and one other co-writer. And so I basically spent my entire week like not doing school, but preparing myself for my write with my dad and one other writer.
Awesome. No, he didn't tell me about that.
And so like, it was a really interesting thing to begin with, because I had no clue what co-writing was, but I knew that I was like pretty good at writing songs, I think, at the time. But I would look forward to that Thursday, and I just build up ideas and build up like inspiration, and getting to write with my dad and somebody else in the room changed my life. And I get to meet people like Andrew Dorff and like these huge writers at the time. And it really changed my life from there.
Yeah. So you accredit that probably to getting your pub deal.
Yeah.
Well,
I started building up the catalog.
How many songs did you go in with in your catalog?
Like for my pub deal, probably like 12, but one song was a song called Make It Love that I wrote with Andrew Dorff and my dad. And that song got shortlisted on Best Original Song for the Oscars. I'm actually like racking my brain right now trying to remember all the things. So it was like on the shortlist for Best Original Songs in the Oscars, and that got an article in the Tennessean, and that got Scott Bruschetta and Allison Jones' attention at Big Machine. That ended up getting me a record deal, but I had like no songs, and I just kind of moved back to Nashville, and I was confused, young, and also kind of like a wild child. And so
you went through a wild phase. I
it was
see
like
you
a
got
wild
tats.
phase. Yeah, I got the tattoos to prove it.
I got tats too.
Yeah.
So,
I see. Oh,
yeah,
wow.
We'll talk about those in a second.
Bam.
When you keep saying I moved back to Nashville, you were at Belmont, but then did you go somewhere?
So I was in college in Florida, Eckerd College
That's what
in Florida,
I thought.
and down in St. Pete, Florida. And I was there for like 2.5 years and just kind of like effed off, honestly. Drop the hard F bomb.
You can. It's a podcast. You can say whatever. But no, okay. So I mean, which is typical.
Yeah, and I didn't really want to be an artist, but then I got dumped, and I decided that I was going to get this girl back by writing songs, and that's what led me back to Nashville and all the things. But I like immediately started on this high note when I got to Nashville. It was like record deal, publishing deal. It was awesome. And then a year and a half goes by and nothing happens, and then I get dropped from Big Machine, where we part ways amicably, but all intents and purposes getting dropped from your first deal. And that's when I was like, I remember having a really hard talk with my dad, and I was like, I'm bummed. I was like, this sucks. Like, what the? And
about how old were you when that happened?
That was like, I was like 25, 26.
Okay.
And when that happened, I was like, I remember having a really serious conversation with my dad, and I was like, what do I do? And he's like, now is when you get to find out how much you want this. And he's like, now when you get to put the pedal to the metal and like see if you got the guts. And I remember that conversation. I was like at a show down in like Shreveport, Louisiana, and it just changed my life. Because I was like, I want this. Like,
right.
I was like, I don't care if I have a deal. Like, I just am gonna do this thing.
When I moved here, it was so different. You went and sang for a record label and you got a deal, and then they made you famous.
Right.
I've said this a million times. Now you've got to be famous before that happens.
Right.
It's really weird. So anyway, so they sat you down and said,
they sat me down. We had that hard conversation, and I think I kind of took like a minute where we like really hurt, and then credit to my manager at the time, Fletcher Foster.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he had my back, and I remember we kind of set up this independent label together, and he was managing me, and we just started putting out songs like independently.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember my first like CMA Fest, I had just gotten dropped, and we were like, had just hit like 100,000 streams on like one song. And this was like before Spotify was a thing.
Okay.
And I had this whole article like, Levi Hummon independently hits 100,000 streams. Like, nowadays it's like a kind of joke a little bit.
Yeah, you make like $4.
Yeah, it's like $4 and that doesn't mean anything real. I mean, it does in a lot of ways, and for a lot of artists, and for me even to this day, it's like, that's always great. But at the time, it was like huge.
Yes.
And I remember thinking, I was like, maybe I can do this like independently. And we had just the support from digital streaming partners like Spotify and all these places that really supported me, and allowed me for like 7 years to be independent.
Mm-hmm.
And through that, I got to open up for people like Keith Urban, Tim McGraw, like go out on the road all the way to 2019, selling, headlining awesome venues and just doing stuff independently.
And you're a fantastic performer, by the way.
Thank you.
You really are. Yeah.
I try, and I think that also developed from just like hurting from a deal that I lost, and then also just trying to grind it out and just get better every day. But I remember in 2020 when like the world shut down, and I had felt like I built all this momentum, and then everything just kind of crashed around me. And that's really when I leaned into TikTok and social media. And up until then, I had no platform. And any artist that I talked to, like if it was, a homie or a homie's homie, it's like you're always going to reinvent yourself, and you have to, and find like new ways. And so, you said that like TikTok was like a thing that I did, but that wasn't ever a thing for me. Like, I was never an influencer. I didn't have any influence. And then like that became my platform. Right.
And I just remember watching you. I've always like been watching you from afar, and just so proud, like because a child of a good friend is special. And I remember just thinking, God, he is busting his ass. Like, you're a very hard worker.
Thank you.
And I'm sure that helped a lot. But then I remember that you were engaged.
Right.
Do you want to talk about that?
Well,
you have a new woman now, so you may not want to talk about that.
I never got engaged to this girl.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Noted, Kirsten, never got.
Never got engaged, Kirsten. And sorry, I brought it up.
You're my first engaged.
Yeah.
No, but I was.
So you are engaged now.
I am engaged. Yeah,
okay.
And I'm getting married in 123 days.
What month is that?
June 14th.
Congratulations!
Yeah.
That's my wedding anniversary.
Yeah. Really? I'm getting married on that day.
That's mine. You can't get married.
Can I just preface this whole like podcast? Like, I feel like I'm talking, but I was like nervous to come in here and like hang out with you.
Why?
Because I like look up to you so much, and like,
aww.
And I live my life on hearing 3 songs on repeat: "Born to Fly," "Blessed Broken Road," and "Cowboy Take Me Away."
Yes.
And so like you're like on the mantle of greatness for me in terms of like my life. And
well,
I just want to interject and say that.
My children feel the same way about Marcus. Avery had a lunch with your dad one time, and he was like, didn't sleep the night before. He was so nervous. And so I think that, all 6 of you kids, but especially the ones that are really into music, probably feel that way about both of us, because we had a very important, huge song together.
Yeah.
And it was kind of life-changing for our families and for a lot of people. But
like I have like a very particular memory of seeing the music video for that song for the first time and just like being like, that is the coolest thing on earth. Even like as a kid who was like, my dad is super lame, as like sorry, you are not the lame dad. I just am I'm a
kids always think
I'm,
that.
I'm your kid. So you're not lame. But like I just remember thinking that was the coolest. And I remember like everything about that record that whole time, like it feels like forever ago in terms of just like yesterday feels like forever ago. But you know, it really felt important, and it had a lasting impact on who I am for sure.
Yeah, that means a lot to me. And again, my children feel the same way, and I don't know why you guys aren't all friends. You guys should be, because you share like something so
you know,
unique
I love
and
Avery.
special.
I mean, I got to see him at, like I said, Urban Grub, and I was like, hey, give me your number, like let's jam sometime.
Yeah, he loves you too. He's probably nervous to call you, but
I'm also old.
No, you're not.
I'm 33. So.
You're not old. No. And Avery feels old. He's 25, but he feels old. And I think that when you grow up with parents that do what you're doing, and especially me being an artist, because your dad was an artist also, but in your childhood, you primarily saw him as this, you know, award-winning songwriter, not so much as the artist,
right,
like on tour and all that.
Those are distant memories for me, like seeing him on stage,
right?
Like Douglas Corner or something.
Exactly. Yeah. Where my kids still have that and have seen that their whole lives, where I think they think that it's probably, I think it's probably harder for a child of an artist or a famous artist, famous writer, like your dad, like me, because you kind of go into it going, oh, you know, this is going to happen to me too.
Right.
It's easy.
I think I had an interesting experience with that, because I think my dad, I don't want him to take this as a rip, but like didn't have as successful as an artist career, but he had a really successful writer career.
Right.
And I think when I kind of was like, I kind of want to do the artist thing, for him, it was more like, don't do it.
Yeah.
And I felt more like, I felt the heartbreak of it more. And even like when I was having like, even if I have a hard conversation with my dad today, like about something that's not going right, it's always, I'm like, I hate that so much. Like, cause he's like, you can tell like the years and years of just like wear and tear on him too. Just like, and I feel that on him. And so like, I think I was prepared more for like, I was like, I'm ready to go through it. I'm like, right. I'm here to like, I'm like ready to go to war. Like I'll do this for forever. And like, I'm just going to keep going.
Well, and I think too, your dad was kind of genreless. And so moving to Nashville in a time where genres were very specific. Whereas now he would just kind of be like a John Mayer,
right?
You know, not really in a genre. He wasn't really country. You know, he's something special. He's something that is, everybody loves his music. Everybody loves his voice. And you can't put a name on it, or you can't put him in a category where I think you decided I'm going to be the commercial country artist.
Exactly. He's definitely more of like an enigma.
He is.
And I think that's also played well for his like writing career for sure. And I say that only to be like my dad definitely like warned me of like the things that were to come.
Right.
And I think sometimes it's like my expectations, like still to this day, it's like, and it's fun to like actually have an interview where I'm talking like almost solely about my father, because it's like, he's so impactful in my life. And I love talking about it. Like, yes. And also my mom. And when we get into that,
oh my gosh, your mom,
you know, I think, I definitely like prepared myself watching my dad. And to this day, we have a whole new relationship, because he's kind of like doing his own thing. Definitely like has musicals and stuff that he's really creatively into, because he's just very creative. And I'm very much like in the business right now of like, this is where I am. Boots are locked in here. Right. And so like the paradigm has shifted a little bit, and it's really created a friendship more than anything. And where I get to like talk to my dad about cool ideas and song ideas, and you know, we play A&R together, and it's just like a really organic, fun thing.
That's awesome. And do y'all still write together?
We do. We've been writing.
Is it hard to write with your dad?
My dad is like, I think my dad's like mad at me right now in the writer room because I've been like bullying him. I feel like, and he's like, and I gotta remember my dad's like the hit songwriter, and I'm like, because like sometimes I'm just like, I just bull through the room, and I need to just like let him write.
Well, my kids do that to me too. I mean, it's so funny. There's similarities because I think you guys are trying to forge your own path. Where when I try to write with especially Olivia, it's sort of like, no, I want to do it my way because Olivia is a pop singer. Right. You know, she's not country. She can sing and write country, but her passion is pop. And so I think it's difficult because I'm like, do you realize how many #1 records I've written and how many top 20 records I've written? And so, you know, fuck off. Right. And she's like, but I want to do it my own way. Yeah. So I totally get that.
I need to like, next time I'm going to have like a self-talk right before like I drive to the right and be like, let your dad help.
Yeah.
Cause like I felt that the other day and I just like, I'm confessing right now of just like, I should have let that guy write.
It's hard though. I mean, it's hard because you want to be your own person, your own individual artist, writer, creator. And it's hard sitting in a room with your dad. I'm intimidated writing with your dad sometimes because, you know, his melodies and he's so fast and I'm always like, slow down. And I don't know if you've heard the song that we wrote together called Caged. Mm-mm. I'll send it to you. And it didn't make their album Restless because we just had so many songs, but Doobie Brothers guy came in and sang on it. What's his name? Michael McDonald.
Oh, hell yeah.
Came in and sang on it. I'll send it to you or ask your dad to play it for you, but it's fucking awesome. Yeah. And we wrote it just the two of us. But okay, so anyway.
Well, I want to hear that. Michael McDonald's on this thing?
It's amazing.
My dad never even told me about that.
Do you ever feel caged, locked up like a bird? Do you ever feel the weight of this whole world? Your dad came in with that, and I'm just like,
damn.
Well, I suck.
Well, put it out.
Yeah, we should put it out.
I want to hear this thing, for real.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. I'll send it to you. But okay, so go ahead. So I think we're talking about writing with your dad. And then I want to continue on your path of since that record deal and your drop and your independent label.
Yeah. So, so 2020 hits and basically I was like, I didn't have a TikTok presence. I didn't have anything really like other than like my touring career and like a small social media following and a lot of really good songs that I thought I wanted to put out. And so 2020 hits and I start leaning into TikTok for the first time and went from like 0 followers in 2020 now to like almost 900,000, almost 1 million followers, and built that through just grinding and trying to find out like who my fans were and reach them in a new way.
Right.
And I think for me, like why TikTok has become such a huge thing in social media in general, for me, it's like, it's free marketing. Yeah. As an independent artist, it's been a way to find fans and to create something and cultivate something that's like really organic. Mm-hmm. And just recently, like last year, it led to a new record deal where I signed to Kevin Jonas Sr., the Jonas Brothers' dad.
Oh my God.
And Jonas Group Entertainment and Red Van Records. And so
congratulations.
Thank you. And so I was like we signed in like October and I'm as a flagship artist for Red Van Records. And then they're managing me as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just like signed this record deal and we put out like one song last year, went on the road with Walker Hayes and went to radio for the first time. And it's been amazing.
Amazing. Yeah. So you made a whole album?
So
or you're working on
an album right now. We put out like an EP, but that was a lot of songs that were kind of like re-records. Right. And songs that were like in our back pocket for a long time. It was like, let's get these out. Mm-hmm. Let's start building for 2025. And this year is like, I feel like we've really teed it up really nicely for like some awesome stuff.
Who's producing?
So my buddy Eric Arjas is producing. I met him through Jimmy Robbins and he produced the new Eli Young record. He's working on some other stuff. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say it, but he's also mixing and mastering with Jeff Braun of like, he's doing Jelly Roll, Lainey Wilson, all that stuff too. So he's a badass.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow, I would love to write a song with you.
Let's go.
For this project. Right. I would love that.
No, we're doing some really cool stuff. And a lot of stuff we've been doing like that I've enjoyed is like creating collaboration. Like we had a song with Walker Hayes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so talk about that.
Yeah.
Paying for It.
So Paying for It was like the first song of mine on TikTok that like really kind of went. And that was kind of in the flow with Walker's fancy like success. And how that came about honestly was my publisher at the time, a guy named Greg Gallo, signed me to Reservoir with John Ozier, and he was like, one writer I really want to set you up with is Walker and Eric. Mm-hmm. And so we got in the room, and I had the dates like highlighted on my calendar for months because I loved his song, You Broke Up With Me. And I was like, I got to write a banger today. Mm-hmm. So not to be too long-winded, but I brought in this idea called Paying For It, and I had it over these really minor chords. And Walker was like, I love this idea, but we're going to put it over this swampy fun stuff. And it got crazy in the room. Like we wrote it in like 10 minutes, like straight up. It was just like one of those things just rolling. And at the end of the thing, I remember Walker saying, let's pitch it to Jake Owen. And I was like, okay. Jake Owen, like he like sends it to Jake in the room. Jake says no. And we're like, what are we going to do with this song? Like, it's good. And
it is good.
It's just all happening, by the way, in the writing room. Like,
right.
And I was like, I'll put it out. Do you want to feature on it? And he was like, yeah, I'm about to put out this record with like Lori McKenna and has like Carly Pierce and all this stuff. So if you put it out, I'll feature on it and then we'll do it together. Mm-hmm. Ended up dropping it, or ending up like saying we're going to do it. The next Wednesday, he puts out Fancy Like, and Fancy Like just pops off.
Yep.
And I remember calling Walker and saying like, dude, if you don't want to put this out, like you don't have to, like with me, I totally understand the success you're about to have and like what's happening right now. And he was like, use me and abuse me. Like, let's freaking do this thing, dude. And so for like 2 years, like he showed up to everything for lyric videos, every music video. He always promoted. He danced to it with his daughter.
Yes.
And then this past year, he took me on the road with him for the entire Same Drunk tour. And we did that from August.
So it's your record or his record?
It's my record featuring Walker Hayes.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought.
And so, but he was like just such a huge champion. And for this past like 3 years, just been an amazing dude. And like, you know how it is in the business. Like an artist that like takes you under their wing and really helps you out has been just like life-changing for me.
Vince Gill did that for me with No Place That Far.
Yeah.
You know, he agreed to sing on it. He agreed to be in the video. He was just so like generous with his time and effort. And that really, really helped No Place That Far go to number one. So, yeah.
Did that help your career as like a whole as well?
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, once I got that first number one record, then country radio saw me as serious, although country radio never made it easy for me.
Yeah.
I would, the up and down thing, I would have like a number one, a huge number one record, and then they wouldn't play the next single. And then, so then I would have to start over with the next single.
Yeah.
Yeah. You are in the process of making the new record right now. When does that project drop, or do you have a date yet?
So, we just put out this like EP very end of last year. But we have like 3-4 songs in my back pocket right now that I love, including a couple other collaborations. Another song I wrote with Walker, which is like insane. Mm-hmm. The song's called Shady. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say that. So
okay, you can let us know.
Yeah, I will for sure. And so I'm really like, there's a bunch of songs that I have in my back pocket. I'm getting married in June, so that's like a huge priority for me in terms of my life. Like I'm definitely like in wedding mode. But I think probably like towards summer, early fall, we'll be looking for some awesome stuff. But I'm writing right now. Like I'm inspired. No more breakup songs.
No more breakup songs. We should write together. We should write with your dad.
I would love that. I would.
The three of us.
Honestly love that.
Would that not be just amazing?
Yes.
So special.
I'm gonna hold you up to that. I will.
Because I'm making a new album this year.
Oh, let's go.
And so I'm gonna start writing, and I'm gonna be writing, hopefully at least once a week with my tour schedule. So let's do it.
Yeah.
Get it on the books. Craig Dunn is your man.
Let's go.
But I want to talk about your mom real fast.
Yeah.
Your mom is the most amazing woman.
Amen.
Becca Hummon. She runs
Becca Stevens.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Right. I forgot.
I would only not correct you if that didn't make her. She's a woman. That is,
Right. Yeah. So she wanted to keep her maiden name. Yeah. So has she ever just always been Becca Stevens?
She's always been Becca Stevens. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's made it really difficult for me in my life and my brothers because we'll be like at the store with her credit card getting groceries back in the day, and it'll be like people just think we're stealing somebody's credit card and stealing.
Right. Who's this Becca Stevens?
And it's never been easy for us. So I kind of wish she was Becca Hummon.
Tell me about what it's like to have your mom as a pastor and all that she is and does.
Yeah.
Are you a mama's boy?
I'm a just parents boy.
Yeah.
I love my parents, and it's funny, like growing up, my mom's a preacher, my dad's a songwriter. I always was kind of like a rebel. Mm-hmm. And I kind of like, that was my persona. Like even like before music, like unfortunately music got to see me grow up in my 20s in this town. But like, I was always kind of like a wild child. But as I've gotten older, I've just become such better friends with my parents. Like I would say they're my best friends. Like I absolutely love going to my parents' house. I love hanging out with my mom and love hanging out with my dad separately together. Like it's special.
The great thing is they're cool.
Yeah. They're very cool.
They're cool.
So it's easy to be friends with them.
Yes.
And they're successful both in their very own ways. But my mom is like the rock star of our family. Okay. And I like to think of myself as like the artist. My dad's the songwriter. My brother's the painter. My youngest brother is Moses. And
right. Yeah.
My mom's a rock star.
He's like a tech guy. Yeah. And your mom takes care of all of you.
Yeah. She's amazing.
Yeah.
And she is like, I was there watching Thistle Farms be one candle in the back of a church and turning into this multi-million-dollar facility that helps women with a history of drug abuse and prostitution, gets them off the streets, employs them. So I got to see my dad in his career, but also my mom go from like just an idea into the everything. Like it's this huge thing. It's bigger than Nashville. It's bigger than my mom. It's bigger than like so much of like what's going on in the world. And, so seeing her just do that, like, adds a whole nother level of inspiration to my life.
She has such a love for people in hard situations. You know, she just has so much empathy. And I don't know your mom.
You need to get her on this podcast.
I need to get her.
She's like the most entertaining out of all of us. But
really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't gotten the chance to be around her that much. And except I did go visit Thistle Farms and I did a whole thing. We recorded a whole thing and I sat in the group with the women and it was life-changing. Yeah. It was life-changing. I mean, if you don't know anything about Thistle Farms, look it up because it's an unbelievable organization and these women work there and there's a restaurant and
storefront, everything in Nashville, but it's also they sell all their products at Whole Body, and everything's on thistlefarms.org. So if anybody listening,
thistlefarms.org.
Very hard to say for me, by the way.
Are you having a big wedding?
We're having a destination wedding with like close friends and family. But we're going down to Key Largo and just
nice.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. And I'm honestly like the healthiest, happiest version of myself I've ever been.
That is great.
All because of this woman in my life, and I think of her and just like it. Honestly, a little bit emotional because she's just that level of amazing.
That is so great. I'm so happy for you.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I want you to have a baby right away.
So does my mom.
Yes. Yeah, because we moms, like that's, Avery's 25. He's my oldest. Yeah. And Olivia's getting married in September.
Oh, wow.
She's young. She's 21. No, she just turned 22. But her fiance is 27.
Cool.
And so
it's kind of the same age gap as me and Kirsten's 25.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect. That's perfect. And yes, I am so excited for that, part of my life.
Right. My mom's just doing this, so she's like, "You're having a baby?" Like, what are we
Right. Because she's ready.
Yeah, she's looking at her watch, just like
she's gonna be the most amazing grandma in the world.
So we actually just bought a house like a block away from them. And so one day we're gonna be like,
I love that. Yeah. Have you ever watched the TV show Parenthood?
No.
You need to watch that. We've just rewatched it. There's like 6 seasons and it's about a family like that. They're incredibly close. There's 4 children.
Oh, wow.
I don't know about you guys, but you guys are mostly a family of men. So I don't know if you are quite as talkative. Because Jay and Avery have had to become very talkative, very like, expressing feelings, talking about feelings because of me and Olivia and Audrey.
Yeah, we're definitely a creative family, so there's like a lot of like communication, but I think it's not very emotional. I think for my parents, what's been amazing is my middle brother got married. I'm getting married. My youngest brother has a girlfriend, and they've kind of adopted the boys' girls as their girls in a lot of ways. And so like we have these amazing family dinners now.
Exactly. We're having one tonight. We're having one tonight because I leave tomorrow night for a 4-day run.
Oh, wow.
And so I kind of have PTSD a little bit from the times when my kids were little and I had to leave them. Like I took them on the road with me almost all the time. But when they were in school, that became harder and harder to do. So I panic to this day every time I'm getting ready to go on a run, especially that's kind of long. 4 days is a long run because you're gone almost 6 days. Yeah. And So I'm making everybody come for family dinner tonight. And just so that I feel like, okay, we connected before.
That's really sweet of you.
I left. But yeah, it's my, I love doing it. But Levi Hummon, thank you so much for coming on. I can't believe this hour has flown by. But I just, want to make sure everybody knows that you have an album coming out.
Yeah.
And you are huge on TikTok. Like you said, you've got 1 million followers and you're great at it. You're so entertaining. I wondered though, before we stop, can you just teach me the paying for it dance? Do you know it? Because I've seen you make your dad do it
in years. So
if you forgot it, it's okay. But I love when you make your dad, because he seems so grumpy. Every time.
He's so grumpy. And he also, my favorite thing about my dad, I don't know the paying for dance off the top of my head right now.
Yeah, I mean, neither. I'm terrible at that
but
stuff.
Your boots are amazing. So those kind of, we do need to do some kind of dance with that.
It's kind of like moon boots from the 80s.
I want them.
I feel like they're boy-girl boots. So I'll send you the link.
Some pump. Give me, I'll be 6'1" in those.
They're very,
But my favorite thing about my dad is this. So I'll make him do a video. And he's like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And then I finally get him to do it. And then hours later, every hour is like, hey, how's the video doing?
Yeah.
What are the views? And I'm like, oh my God, you care. Don't act like you don't.
Of course he cares. Because,
So it's always funny. But utilizing my parents and using them for socials has been a creme de la creme.
I love when I see those. I really do. What else do you want? What else do you want to say? What do you want to tell
just
people?
Get ready for new music. That's where I'm at in life. We just had an amazing year of touring with Walker and promoting Paying For It, but we got the best is yet to come. We're working on some really cool stuff, and this new partnership with the Jonas Group has just been a blessing, and we've got some amazing stuff on the way.
Have you met the Jonas Brothers?
I have gone to 2 shows now.
Okay.
I have not met them yet. I met Franklin Jonas, who's the youngest brother. But
are there 4 of them
there's
total?
4, yeah.
Okay.
So Franklin and I have hung out a bunch, but I'm very much looking forward to meeting the brothers. My fiance is obsessed with them, so I
think they're truly talented. Yeah. You gotta just hold her hand the whole time. Cause
her first big concert she went to was the Jonas Brothers, and she had a shirt that just said "I heart Nick," but there's this bandana that kind of covered the N, and it just looked so inappropriate for.
That's so inappropriate.
Yeah, it's so inappropriate.
I don't know. Are you gonna make her throw that T-shirt away?
100%.
100%.
Yeah, no. I love how much she loves him, and it's always so funny. We sent the save the date to Kevin, Jonas, and Denise, the mom and dad, and she was like, "Oh my God, I sent the invite to the Jonas Brothers' parents."
That's amazing. And is she so on board with what you do and your music? And
yes.
Do you think she's going to travel with you on the road?
She's already come out to some shows. We've been together almost 3 years, so she's seen a lot.
God, time flies.
I know. It's crazy.
3 years?
Well, we going 3 years. It's 2 3/4.
Amazing.
But we've been together, and she's just been a rock. And what I love about her too is she's an only child, and so she likes her alone time too. So when I'm gone, it's the healthiest version of she's I'm just gonna sit on the couch and do nothing.
I think that's great. I mean, Jay and I got married and we had 7 kids together, so we were immediately in that mode. But we also were immediately in the mode of me going back and forth on the road all the time,
right? Taking
the kids, coming back. So I think that's a wonderful way to be married.
Yeah,
because you miss each other.
Yeah. And getting to miss each other is so important. I mean, I miss her right now because she's at work all day, and I'm sitting there okay, I'm gonna write a song, whatever.
Yeah, and I want her info because I want to know more about
anything
my skin.
She is amazing. She's really, really special.
I'm so very happy for you. I can't wait to hear the new music. When the album comes out, you got to come back on.
100%.
And maybe there will be a song that we co-wrote together on that album. Please,
gonna happen. Right after this, we're gonna
you and your dad.
Sick. Let's do it.
We're gonna write together, and your dad and I might be a little bossy though with you.
This time I'll have to make it happen.
It'll be okay.
I'll let my dad be my boss again.
Yeah, and then I'll just I'll
let the Grammy Hall of Famer do his thing, I guess.
Yeah, that's right. You should, because I've never won a Grammy.
Yeah,
and your dad has.
Yeah,
so
it's time.
We need to remember that. Well, yeah, maybe this song will win a Grammy.
Heard it here first, folks.
Heard it here first. Levi Hummon, thank you so much. This was amazing.
Thank you for having me.
I just love your family.
Well, we love you.
Thank you. Thank you.